Title: The Revolutionary Power of Radical Self-Acceptance. How many of you wake up every morning and immediately start criticizing yourself? I'm not good enough. I'm a failure. I'm unlovable. That relentless inner critic that constantly whispers or sometimes screams that we're falling short, that we're inadequate, that we're just not measuring up. I know that voice all too well. For years, it was my constant companion through every challenge, every setback, every heartbreak. There it was, telling me I would never be smart enough, successful enough, thin enough, lovable enough. But here's the thing, that voice, it's a liar. And it's a liar that so many of us have bought into. We've internalized these messages of shame and inadequacy so deeply that we've come to believe them as truth. But what if there was another way? What if we could learn to silence that inner critic and cultivate a radically different relationship with ourselves? One rooted in deep compassion, unwavering acceptance, and fierce self love. This is the revolutionary power of self compassion. It's the key to unlocking our true potential and living a wholehearted life. And it's accessible to every single one of us right here, right now. You see, for so long, I thought that self compassion was soft, weak, self indulgent, even. I believed that being relentlessly hard on myself was the only way to be successful, to be disciplined, to avoid becoming complacent or lazy. But then I hit rock bottom. I was in the midst of a devastating breakup, drowning in a sea of self-loathing and despair. My inner critic was on a rampage, convincing me I was a fundamentally broken human being, unworthy of love. It was in that moment of absolute darkness that I discovered the work of Dr. Kristin Neff, the pioneering researcher of self-compassion, and it changed everything. Dr. Neff's research shows that self compassion is the antidote to shame, that it's the key to resilience in the face of failure and the courage to try again, that it's linked to greater psychological well being, emotional intelligence, and healthier relationships. In other words, self compassion isn't just a nice to have, it's an essential component of a fulfilling, purposeful, joyful life. It's the foundation upon which we build genuine happiness, the bedrock of true success. So, what exactly is self compassion? Put simply, it's treating yourself with the same kindness, care, and understanding that you would offer to a good friend or even a small child. It's wrapping your own struggling self in a warm embrace and whispering, I know this is hard. I'm here for you. You're doing the best you can. Self compassion has three core elements: mindfulness, common humanity, and self kindness. Mindfulness is about being present with our difficult emotions without getting lost in them. It's the courage to turn toward our pain and struggles rather than numbing out or turning away. Common humanity recognizes that imperfection, failure, and struggle are part of the shared human experience, that we are all flawed works in progress, bumbling our way through this glorious mess of a life. Self compassion dismantles the lie of isolation and reconnects us to the web of belonging. And self kindness, it's extending gentleness, care, and understanding to ourselves, especially in moments of suffering. It's using a warm, supportive inner voice rather than a hostile, belittling one. Is learning to befriend and comfort ourselves. When I first started practicing self compassion, it felt entirely unnatural. My inner critic was so loud, so vicious, that responding to my own pain with kindness almost seemed laughable. I thought I needed that critic to keep me in line, to whip me into shape. But as I started to intentionally practice self compassion through meditations, through journaling, through the simple act of putting a hand on my own heart in moments of struggle, something profound began to shift. I remember one particularly painful moment, sitting on my kitchen floor in the aftermath of that breakup, tears streaming down my face. The voice in my head was screaming at me, telling me how pathetic I was, how unlovable. But then, almost instinctively, I placed a hand on my heart. I took a deep breath. And I whispered to myself, sweetheart, I know you're hurting. I know this feels unbearable. I'm so sorry you're going through this, but I'm here. I love you, and we're going to get through this together. In that moment, it was like I was hearing those words for the very first time, like they were a lifeline thrown out to me in a stormy sea. I felt something deep inside me crack open, a lifetime of self judgment and unmet need. And into that open, raw space, compassion came flooding in. It was the first moment of true self kindness I had ever allowed myself to feel. And it was the beginning of coming home to myself in a whole new way. That's the thing about self compassion. It's a homecoming, a radical act of showing up for ourselves and saying, I'm here, I care, you matter. It's a way of belonging to ourselves, even and especially in the midst of our imperfections and struggles. And when we can offer that care and acceptance to ourselves, it becomes so much easier to extend it to others. Because here's the truth: compassion is not a finite resource, it's an endless well that only expands as we draw from it. The more we practice self compassion, the more we are able to show up to others with genuine empathy, kindness, and presence. We soften the boundaries between self and other. We start to see our own suffering and the suffering of those around us as worthy of tenderness. Self compassion is a radical act of love and acceptance for ourselves and for the world. It's how we dismantle the myth of perfectionism and learn to embrace the glorious imperfection of being human. It's how we quiet the inner war and make peace with who we are. And in a world that profits from our self doubt, that thrives on our insecurity and self judgment, choosing self compassion is a revolutionary act. It's a way of saying, I am enough exactly as I am. I'm imperfect and I'm beautiful. I'm flawed and I'm worthy. I'm human and I'm whole. So I invite you to join the revolution, to take one small, brave step towards self compassion today. It might be putting a hand on your heart when you notice you're struggling. It might be speaking to yourself with the same kindness you would offer a dear friend. It might be writing yourself a letter of compassion, letting your own tender words be a balm. Start where you are. Start small, but start, because this, I know for sure, the world needs more compassion. And that compassion, it starts with us. It starts within. When we learn to love and accept ourselves, warts and all, we create a more loving and accepting world. We disrupt the cycles of shame and judgment that keep us isolated and afraid. We open our hearts to the beauty and pain of this shared human experience. Self compassion is the birthplace of true belonging. It's the path to healing, to wholeness, to coming home to the truth of who we are. It's the way we mother the hurting parts of ourselves, the way we befriend our own beautiful, broken hearts. And it's the unexpected secret to true success and happiness. Because when we're no longer at war with ourselves, we free up so much energy to create, to love, to serve, to show up fully to this one messy, marvelous life. So let's start a compassion revolution, one brave, tender-hearted act at a time. Let's choose to love ourselves so fiercely that it transforms how we love each other and how we love this aching world. Let's start now in this moment with the most courageous act of all, letting ourselves be seen, be held, be loved exactly as we are. That, my friends, is the power of self compassion. And it's the only thing that can truly heal our hearts and change the world. Thank you